Clause Out Podcast Controversy Corner, joined by Rob and Gary. Parramatta or the West Tigers, whose rebuild is on track? Which team will make the finals first? Before we dive into it, Rob, it's been a big rivalry over the past 2 decades, but probably a little bit dormant given the side's form.
Yeah, we've had a big rivalry ever since I think Mitch Moses left the club. That all, the controversy he left with, there's always been a little bit of hatred from our end of the deal. But yeah, we're both travelling okay at the moment.
Yeah, they seem to pick up all the players we don't want. We wanted Moses, but Madison went over there. So I think that rivalry has built over time. But it's always been there. I think it's been there since we kind of came into the league as the West Tigers. And I think it stems from the rivalry between Balmain and the merger stuff where Parramatta were looking to merge with Balmain. So I think that rivalry just built naturally from the time the West Tigers were formed.
The Easter Monday game, I'm pretty sure we were the hosts this year, and there's always talk on the forums afterwards, especially if we lose, that stuff it. We should take him to Homebush or to Leichhardt or to one of our home grounds. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% think that should be played at Accor. We've got 2 massive fan bases. We've at least, on a bad day, we've had 40-odd thousand there, and we used to make it, I think, free from the Easter show when you'd go there as well. So I think it's a no-brainer to actually have it at Accor, and if there's an issue over whose home ground it is, whatever, just split the gate every year.
Is it a disadvantage holding it at CommBank when it's our home ground?
Oh, it's 100%. It's 100% a disadvantage. You're putting Parramatta at the place they play every single week. I don't think if we're playing games at CommBank, it should not be against Parramatta. The only game we should play against Parramatta at CommBank is a Parramatta home game. If that falls on Easter Monday and it's their turn, I'm happy to have it there, but we definitely should be taking it somewhere else. My preference would be Accor, but you can make arguments about other places as well.
Tricky one not to sit on the fence with this one, Rob, who's had a better season, because both sides have had 9 wins. Parramatta are under a first-year coach in Jason Riles. We've got Benji in his second season. For and against very, very similar. Can you split them?
I think we've had the better season. We definitely had that lull mid-season. Parramatta were awful for the first half of the season until Moses actually came back and we played them the second time where they got that victory that day. I think it was 38-24 or thereabouts. But the thing with Parramatta, I think they're on track to what they want to do. They've found their style, even though some people say it looks pretty but it doesn't really do much. But I think they're heading where they want to get, and I think we're just about where we want to be too.
You don't think we've found our style over the last month?
Over the last month we have, but I think Parramatta were playing that same style when they were getting beaten quite comfortably, but they seem to be playing the same way all the time. Our style has varied from week to week. Sometimes we're a little bit more expansive. Perhaps that's a game plan thing. But, Benji, by his own admission, back in round 20, said we're still trying to find out who we are. Although in more recent times he said, I'm learning a bit more and I've learned what works for us and what doesn't.
Yeah, I think the way the Tigers have played over the last month of the season definitely shows a style of football that they want to play moving forward.
Is it fair to say their style is a little bit more repeatable or conventional? We've often been described as unconventional or disorganised. Is that unfair on us?
I think we're trying to find our style. I think Parramatta's style is prettier, for want of a better term. They seem to be a little bit more expansive quite regularly. They shift the ball early in sets. We mix it up a lot. We are playing some attractive football, as we saw with the game against the Cowboys the other week. So I don't know. It's actually a really tough question. You don't want me to sit on the fence, but I think Parramatta would be happy where they are in terms of their rebuild. They let go of a lot of experience at the end of last year, and we're quite happy with where we are and where we're progressing to.
Obviously, Gary, 2 very contrasting games. We belted them in round 2, and then Mitchell Moses came back Easter Monday and they won. But if you're looking into next season, who do you think? I suppose the bookies, again, will probably have it very level. Do you think both sides should be aiming to make the 8 next year?
Both sides should always be aiming to make the 8. And I think there's a key word in what you said there, a key name in what you said there, in the difference between the 2 games. Their style of play and their game plan is heavily reliant on Mitchell Moses. When he's out, that team really struggles. And if he's getting a little bit older, the injuries are starting to creep in. If he has another season next year where he picks up a couple of injuries, he's out for a month or he's out for 6 weeks, then that puts Parramatta under a lot of pressure again, because they are so reliant on him for the style of football they want to play.
Let's look at the rosters, though, specifically, Rob. That's where I think we are ahead of them. I think we've got more. I know Mitchell Moses might be the best player if you combine the 2 teams, but I think we've got more potentially top 10 players if you combine both teams.
We probably have. They've got a few lesser names, but they've got some really young talent coming through, as we do to a lesser degree. But again, it's very, very hard to compare teams. I'm not fully stocked with knowledge on Parramatta's depth. I think their forwards can do with a little bit of tweaking. They've definitely got. I'm sure you'll touch on the spine. Their spine's quite inexperienced when you take Moses out of there. In our case, it's quite experienced with the exception of Latu Fainu. But again, we don't know who our halfback's going to be, and that's another question we have to answer.
We've got the better spine, Gary?
I think we've definitely got the better spine, especially when they're so reliant on Mitchell Moses in their spine. If we lose a player in our spine, if we lose one of our halves, if it's Latu who's the starting half, we've got Adam Dewey to go in there. If it's Adam Dewey who's the starting half, then we've got Latu to go in there. So we've got options if there's injuries amongst our spine. We can push Taruva to fullback. We're very shallow at hooker, but the other three spine spots, I think we've got really good backup and a lot of redundancy and a lot of insurance if we do have an injury. And I think Parramatta falls down in that area.
I don't want to denigrate either Mitchell Moses or Jerome Luai, even though I hate Mitchell Moses, so I might. But is it fair to say they have a general and we don't? Even though Jerome's probably been as influential in terms of the culture that we're building here, I think it's fair to say that Moses has had more influence on results for Parramatta than Jerome has so far at the Tigers.
100% right there. Mitch Moses is, most people would say he's the second best halfback in the game. I think at his best, he is the best halfback in the game. So he's clearly ahead of Jerome Luai, and that's not a slight on Jerome.
And definitely, if not the best halfback, he's the most dangerous. He can turn a game in the blink of an eye. A short kicking game, he's explosive running. He can turn a game so quickly, and that's what he gives Parramatta, and that's why Parramatta's form's been so different since he came back, because he's just so dynamic around the middle of the field and adds so much to them.
What about at the back? I mean, Iongi, first-year player, might go close to winning Rookie of the Year. Jareem Buller in his third season. I know we've got our Tigers hats on, and I know you're going to say you prefer Jareem Buller, but do you think there's much between the two fullbacks?
I think there is at the moment, but if Yongi was in his third season, then it might be a different story. But Jareem's in his third season with us. Yongi's his first season, and Yongi's coming on really well. And they've also got Papali'i, who does play anywhere in that back line or six. So, look, I think Yongi's going really well. And the thing is, Riles knew what he wanted. He said, I know I've got a leader here in Clint Gutherson, but I need to move on from that. I need to develop these younger guys. And Yongi has had an injury this year, but when he's played, he's looked really good.
Yongi looks like a stronger, more natural ball runner, whereas Jareem's a bit more better ball player and more finesse. Is that fair? Safer?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And he's a great fullback, Yongi, but I don't think there's a better fullback for the style of play that we want to play than Jareem Buller.
What's that?
Just his ability to chime into those sweep plays, the shape he gives us. I don't think we get that from a lot of other fullbacks. I'd love to see him play through the middle a little bit more, but his threat on an edge, I think, is perfect for what we're providing. He's able to play on both the left and right hand side of the field, which adds a lot to our left. But our right is probably our weaker attacking side. So when he can chime in on that right hand side, that's a huge benefit for us as well. So I just think he adds to the style of football we want to play, probably better than any other fullback in the competition.
This is probably the big one, Rob, because it'll have the most influence in terms of how it's judged by the media or neutrals in the next few years. Talon De Silva / Riley Smith up against Appy Coruscant. Obviously, Richo and Medji made the big call to re-sign Appy until the end of 2028. Are you 100% behind that call?
I'm 100% behind that call, especially given Appy Coruscant's games against the Cowboys and against the Raiders. They were magnificent games. I think he produced 61 tackles against the Raiders. In my opinion, he was best on field against the Cowboys. He's a true leader. He busted out 80 minutes. I think Talon De Silva's still learning his craft. Smith's been quite good. He's very aggressive from marker. He puts a lot of kick pressure on when kick pressure seems to be a thing you don't seem to be able to do, but he seems to be able to get away with it and force kickers into bad kicks.
Talon De Silva, again, it's easy for me to bag being an ex-Tiger, but he seems like he's going to be a good player, but he doesn't look like the next coming of Robbie Farah. Like, he looks to me more like a running nine without the skill set that someone like a Robbie had coming through.
Yeah, I don't think he's developed as far as we thought he would. I think he's had some very good games for the West Tigers. Since he's gone to Parramatta, I think he's struggling to fit into the style of football they want to play. Where I do give Parramatta a little bit of positive in that hooking position is you name two guys there. We can't name two guys.
True.
So, and that for me is the big issue. I think Appy's far and away the best player out of all the nines you mentioned.
Could we have kept Talon next year, or do you think it's spending too much money on two hookers?
It would have been a lot of money to spend on two hookers, and it sounds like he was adamant to leave once we signed Appy. So I think that's a difficult situation. What I do think we need to do, I don't think we can go into next season with Tristan Hope as that second hooker. I think we need to go out and find someone who's probably on less money than what Talon De Silva is on and upgrade at that spot. Otherwise, I think I'm not going to say as a pair that Smith and De Silva are better than Appy and Hope, because Appy's a fantastic footballer, but we need better than Appy and Hope.
Last comparison to coaches, and this is a difficult one because Rolls has gone obviously the traditional route and done a long apprenticeship, whereas Benji's been thrust straight into it. But like from the outside looking in, they've probably got different strengths, whereas maybe Benji's the man management and maybe Rolls is more the tactical side of the game.
I prefer the traditional route, obviously, and he's worked in the best systems under Craig Bellamy and Trent Robinson. So that's probably the best way you could learn from anyone. And he really knows what he wants, whether it works or doesn't at the moment. He's really gone about his season the way he wanted to. He copped whatever criticism he wanted. I think Benji's starting to find his feet now. Again, like Benji's learning on the run, but look, right now I'm happy with where Benji's at.
Would you rather have Benji over Jason Rolls?
For our club, yes. I think Jason Riles is probably further along in his career than Benji is at the moment. I know there's been some discussion around Parramatta having a poor season and how that reflects on Riles. But you've also got to have a look at he got rid of their captain last year. He got rid of Gufferson because he wants to implement a certain style of football and that's going to take him time. So I think he's got a little bit more time and he's a little bit further ahead in his coaching. But the football the West Tigers have been playing over the past month, I think, is a real credit to Benji Marshall. It's starting to look like we know what we're doing. There's actually things we're doing out on the field that show that we're trying to play to our strengths. We're trying to work out a game plan. And I think that was missing, and I think that's what Benji's developed over the second half of this season. So I'm very keen to see where Benji takes that next year.
All right, let's cut to the chase and answer the question. Whose rebuild is in front and who makes the top 8 first, Parramatta or the West Tigers?
Ours is in front in the rebuild, but Parramatta are happy with where they're at. In terms of making the finals, I think we're level pegging. I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. I don't want to be seen to be biased.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Tigers make the 8 first. I think having a look at Parramatta, they're far too reliant on one player. It's a great player. Mitchell Moses is a fantastic footballer. I think he is the best half in the game, but they're too reliant on that. And until they build a little bit more around him and a little bit behind him with the age he's getting to, I think that's going to hold them back.
All right, I'll say the West Tigers because I hate Parramatta.